Hi everyone. It is high harvest and gathering season here in the Northeast, and we've been just so busy trying to collect everything we can and process as much as we can for winter while the sun is shining. And it can be a little frantic feeling, so I thought I'd just slow down, take a breath, and just share a little bit about a question that I get asked a lot on how to dry herbs. And this can be a little bit of a tricky process because if they're not dried properly, they lose their color, their scent, and their potency. And this can come from either leaving them on the drying rack too long or leaving them in direct sunlight, although there is a drying technique that involves using sunlight. There's many drying techniques. The one that I like the best, that's the most efficient, and that I find is the most efficient and keeps the most potency, is to make these drying racks. So we make these here and they're pretty simple. So I'm just going to demonstrate a little bit of how we do this using some hopefully accessible tools and materials. A little story, the first time I picked herbs to dry, it was nettles, and it was just after a super big rainstorm, for which I thought, oh perfect, they're already washed and cleaned. And so I gathered them wet and then hung them in bundles and they molded. So you really want to make sure that it's a dry day. You don't have to wash herbs before you dry them. Anyway, bundles is another way of doing it. But for us, it works the best to make these drying racks, and I put these in my attic. I have a great attic space, and we've made these little supports that I rest these on. If you don't have an attic, you don't need one. You can still use these and hang them or support them in just your house. The closer to the ceiling, the better. It's great over a wood stove during wood stove season, but the closer to the ceiling, the better, because that's where it's the driest. It's really important that it's a dry space, especially if you live somewhere like I do in the Northeast, where it's super humid a lot of the time. So definitely like not a damp basement. You definitely want either an upstairs bedroom or just as close to the ceiling as possible. You could, if all you had was like 2 chairs, you could use 2 chairs. You want to make sure that there's plenty of air space underneath, so you don't want the screen touching where the plants are touching anything. So I'm just going to demonstrate. This particular screen is made with screws, although today I'm going to show you how to do it with nails. And the reason that I'm using nails today is because I feel like more people are likely to have a hammer and nails than to have a drill and screws. So the reason to use the drill and screws is because the pieces of wood are less likely to twist that way, but nails are fine. These pieces of wood just like this, we just use boards that we have and rip them on the table saw. But you can buy furring strips. So just at a hardware store or a Lowe's, and they come in various sizes. I recommend 1x2 furring strips. They come usually in 8-foot lengths. They may be able to cut them for you there, otherwise you will have to cut them somehow. This is a 12-inch piece, I believe, and you'll either need a chop saw or you could use a hand saw to cut them if you can't get them to do it. And then this is a piece of screen, which you can also buy at a hardware store. This particular piece we just have a roll of that we removed from old screen windows. So if you know somebody that's replacing their screen windows, you can often just remove the screens and then just have a store of screens for yourself. So this is not cut perfectly to fit because I'm going to cut it after I staple it. So I started this here, and I'm just going to demonstrate. You just want to line it up. Oh, you might want to start your nail. This is pine. You can use any kind of wood. Pine is soft. Which makes it a little easier to hammer. Okay, and so then you're just going to have one more piece. You're going to have this nailed together. I'm just demonstrating here. And then you're going to take your piece of screen and, oh, in this, we just cut the screen with a utility knife. Stapler. And you're just gonna, so this isn't gonna fit exactly. And that was done intentionally because then I can just cut the edges as opposed to trying to cut it exactly to fit this. So I'll cut it off here and cut any edge. You could also fold the edge in if you wanted to make it fit, which gives it a little bit of extra support. And then you're just gonna staple. And voila!